My brother and I married into the Gu family as live-in sons-in-law. I married the older sister, a medical genius, and he married the younger sister, a top celebrity. On our third anniversary, my daughter suffered an acute asthma attack, but my wife was busy helping her first love deliver his cat's kittens. That night, the cat's baby survived, but my child did not. I looked at my brother, who had stayed with me all night at the hospital. Shen Yan, I want a divorce. He patted my shoulder. I'm with you. You divorce, I divorce too. Let the scheming woman and that dog of a man be locked together forever. The moment the two women received the divorce papers, they were both driven mad with regret. After the news of the divorce was sent out, I received an expected call from Gu Jiai, questioning me. Song Yunan, can you stop being so unreasonable? Are you so petty that you have to tie me to you for the rest of my life? Before I could answer, she poured out her impatience. I told you, Ichin's cat was having a difficult labor. It's his favorite pet. Those are several little lives. How can you be so unsympathetic? You don't know what's important and what's not. Do you have to be jealous at a time like this? Hearing her cold tone, I let out a sad sigh. My wife, Gu Jiai, after disappearing without a trace for a week, finally deigned to return my call. Although last night I held my daughter, whose face was turning purple, and called her 18 times. But she hung up on me without mercy. She only spared a few words in a text message. Busy, what is it? I cried and sent her a voice message, my trembling voice calling out to her. Wife, something happened to our daughter. She's having an acute asthma attack and is in the emergency room. Please come quickly. The director said that if you perform the surgery, our daughter has a great chance of being saved. Gu Jiai didn't even open my voice message and impatiently replied, Can't you handle things at home yourself? Do you have to find me? Amity Chen's helping his cat give birth. Is there anything more important than those little lives? Gu Jiai often didn't listen to my voice messages, and she was too lazy to read the text messages I sent her. But she could patiently listen to her first love, Su Yichen, spend half a day talking about his cat. And when I, who has suffered from claustrophobia since childhood, was accidentally trapped in an elevator for 2 hours, calling her was considered a disturbance. Of course, how could I compare to Su Yichen? Gu Jiai once said that I wasn't even worth a single strand of Su Yichen's hair. Our child, of course, couldn't compare to Su Yichen's beloved little cat. My brother snatched my phone and shouted at Gu Jiai. Gu Jiai, shouting is just over a year old. If you're still human, get to the hospital now and see her. Gu Jiai, of course, wouldn't rush to the hospital to see me, because from beginning to end, she didn't believe me. On the phone, her tone was sarcastic and disdainful. Where is Song Yunan? Let him answer the phone. It's one thing for him to act up, but does he have to drag you into it? Are you deliberately trying to trick me into rushing back to see him? My brother was so angry, he almost choked. He was about to retort, but the other side hung up first. When he called back, the phone was already turned off. This made my brother so furious that tears were welling up. Shen Yan handed the phone back to me, still indignant. What kind of person is this? She truly lives up to the Gu family name. I gave him a pale, weak smile and shook my head, saying, Shen Yan, forget it. Even if she rushed over now, it would be too late. We can only hope that shouting is blessed and can pull through this. But the second I finished speaking, the green light above the operating room went out. The doctor came out, shaking his head regretfully. I'm sorry. We did everything we could. Pushed out with him was my 1-year-old daughter, now lifeless. Just a month ago, she had learned to call me Dad. Just yesterday, she was fine. An intense sense of unreality and grief washed over me. In an instant, I felt like the sky was falling. I rushed forward to hold my daughter, almost crying myself breathless. After a long while, I took a bitter, deep breath and said, It's better that she's gone. It was her bad luck to have us as parents in this life. May she be reborn into a good family in the next. I asked my brother to find a lawyer to draft a divorce agreement for us. Shen Yan and I were good brothers who had grown up together. Back then, when we both married into the Gu family, it was so that we could stick together, united against any outside forces. But now, getting married on the same day and divorced on the same day, wasn't it a kind of fate? Gu Jiai didn't even bother to glance at the divorce agreement I sent. Instead, it was Gu Yinshan who called my brother first, immediately questioning him. Divorcing again because of those rumors? I told you it was all in your head. Can't you be more sensible? I've explained it to you so many times, it's just the cast members from the same show stirring up hype. You insisted on misunderstanding, and there's nothing I can do about it. These two were truly sisters. Even their ability to inflict pain with a single pointed remark was identical. Now, Shen Yan had no desire to even communicate with her. Finally, Gu Yinshan impatiently threw out, "I'm not talking anymore. I have to film. Do whatever you want. If you want a divorce, I'm fine with it too." The TV was still broadcasting the gossip about Gu Yinshan and a male celebrity. They were clearly wearing matching outfits, and if you looked closely, even their small accessories were identical. Facing the media, the male celebrity gave Gu Yinshan a meaningful smile, making no secret of his admiration and praise. "Miss Gu is a very interesting person. We also had great chemistry when we were filming, whether in life or on set. She's my ideal type." And Gu Yinshan also put on a ladylike appearance, leaning against the male star and saying, "Yuxing is a very considerate guy. The person who becomes his future girlfriend will definitely be very happy." Such scandals were just appetizers for Gu Yinshan, a top star in the entertainment industry. Since Shen Yan married her, she had been photographed entering and exiting hotels with male celebrities and models every few days, dancing intimately with them in nightclubs, and every time she joined a film crew, she would hype up fun romances with the male stars in the same cast. But Shen Yan had no right to question these things. If he did, he was hindering her career and not understanding her work. Even though Shen Yan stayed up for days on end doing PR and fighting negative comments for her when she was deep in scandals, and even though Shen Yan used all his power to market and promote the show she acted in, helping her build connections and boost her popularity, in Gu Yinshan's heart, Shen Yan was a useless man who only knew how to stay at home, break down, and be jealous. After Gu Yinshan hung up the phone, Shen Yan clutched his phone tightly. He finally took a deep breath, turned to me with red eyes, and said, "Yunnan, let's get a divorce. I can't take it anymore." He put his hand on my shoulder and mustered up his courage to say, "What's the big deal about divorce? Better a quick pain than a long one. If this goes on, we'll both be driven crazy. Divorce and heartbreak are hard, but we have each other. We'll support each other and get through it." I nodded and gave him a bitter smile, saying, "Okay." After burying our daughter, I sent the time and place of the divorce to Gujai. I didn't receive a reply for several hours. It wasn't until the next day that I received her text message. "Yichen's newborn kitten has an intestinal problem. We brought it to the next city for examination and treatment. We'll be back in 3 days." I responded with an okay and said, "Then let's postpone the divorce until 3 days later. I'm available." She finally saw the word divorce and still replied unhappily, "I've had enough. Song Yunan, you weren't so unreasonable before. I advise you to quit while you're ahead. Is there any point in always talking about divorce?" Gujai had long been spoiled by me. Every time I couldn't take it anymore and wanted a divorce, I made countless decisions to leave her forever. But I couldn't bear to, and at the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau, at the last minute, I would regret it and shamelessly try to win her back. I lied to myself time and time again that Gujai liked me, that she still had a shred of feeling for me. As long as we were still husband and wife, one day, she would change her mind and see me. Little did I know that every time I trampled on my self-respect to try to give us a little chance, she saw it as me making a scene. Even this divorce, she regarded as a bargaining chip and a pawn to threaten her. Now, I'm too tired to explain to her. I simply replied with a detached attitude. 10 o'clock in the morning, 3 days from now, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. By the way, Shen Yan and Gu Yinshan will be getting divorced with us. Don't be late and stand me up." Gu Jai sneered on the other end. "Is this how you act as a brother-in-law?" Even now, she still tried to use the Gu family's status to pressure me. "It's one thing for you to make a fool of yourself, but do you have to drag the second son's family along? First you use the child to trick me, then you instigate the second son's family to divorce together. It seems you're really willing to go all out this time. What's the next trick? Are you going to deliberately injure yourself and threaten me with death to make me admit my mistake?" The last time she mentioned was 2 months ago when we attended a party on a luxury cruise ship. At that time, I didn't know that the male companion she brought with her was Su Yichen, so after receiving the invitation, I also eagerly attended. The result, as you can imagine, was that Gu Jiai stayed by her first love the whole time, treating me like air, making me the laughingstock of everyone. I was in a bad mood, so I avoided everyone and went to the deck to drink. As a result, I accidentally got pushed into the water. That time, I almost drowned, but Gu Jiai insisted that I was faking it. At that time, she stood proudly by the hospital bed, looking down at me with disgust, saying, "You're very good at acting, always putting yourself in the victim's position. Do you want everyone to think that I didn't take good care of you, which is why this accident happened?" I didn't scream or shout accusations. Having lost my daughter, I had no strength left to argue. It turned out that when the pain became numb, even the feeling of pain was gone. I said to her very calmly, "Gu Jiai, this time, I'm really letting you go. I hope you get your wish, be with your first love, and never look back." Gu Jiai arrived with Sui Chen. As soon as they got out of the car, Sui Chen possessively put his arm around Gu Jiai's. He was Gu Jiai's college classmate. Back then, it was said that they were deeply in love and almost got married. But Sui Chen's parents were adamantly opposed to him marrying into her family and stubbornly prevented them from being together. Because of this, Gu Jiai broke up with Sui Chen. For a long time, she was like a walking corpse, and only later did she meet me. My brother Shen Yan was going to marry into the Gu family as the second young Mrs. Husband. He complained to me, "Once you enter a wealthy family, it's as deep as the sea, and it would be difficult for him to hang out and be crazy with me, his brother, in the future." He also said that it would be great if the two of us could marry into the family together. At that time, I fell in love with Gu Jiai at first sight, so I waved my hand and said, "What's so difficult about that? Watch me win over Gu Jiai." I was even surprised myself that Gu Jiai agreed to marry me. Later I found out that she didn't have a change of heart, but since she couldn't marry her first love, nothing else mattered. Seeing me, Gu Jiai's gaze lingered on me for a moment. Then she narrowed her eyes and said harshly, "Didn't you want a divorce? Go in." However, when I really turned around resolutely and walked toward the Civil Affairs Bureau, she grabbed my arm. She lowered her head, closed her eyes painfully, and said, "Yan, I know you're just being spiteful. I'll give you one last chance. Apologize to me now, apologize to Yi Chen, and I can pretend nothing happened." I scoffed coldly and retorted, "Miss Gu, what do you think you're doing?" I forcefully shook off her hand and asked directly, "We agreed on a divorce a long time ago, and you agreed. Are you regretting it now? Do you think I'm joking, playing some childish game? Stop dragging your feet. Let's go in and sign now." When Gu Jiai and I finished the streamlined process of signing the divorce papers and received the little green book, her face was still stunned. Her probing gaze remained fixed on me, as if she expected me to suddenly regret it and try to win her back at any moment. But I didn't look at her once from beginning to end. It wasn't until I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau that my body finally gave way, and I nearly fell. Perhaps out of a conditioned reflex, Gu Jiai actually reached out to support me. Her gaze swept over my face twice, and then she let out another sarcastic scoff. "Trying to put on an act now? Isn't it a bit late?" My brother couldn't take it anymore. He reached out and pushed Gu Jiai away, taking her place to support me. "Gu Jiai, are you blind? Can't you see Yunnan's face? He hasn't slept for 3 days since Xiaoting died." Gu Jiai frowned instantly, finally fixing her gaze on my face. Still in disbelief, she tentatively asked, "You're lying to me, aren't you?" I sneered, looked up at her, and asked, "Dr. Gu, what do you hope for now? Is it real or fake?" I glanced at Sui Chen, who was waiting by the roadside, and suddenly chuckled. "Of course, with a new love in your arms. How important could my daughter be?" Gu Jiai's pupils trembled violently. She seemed to realize something, and in a fit of exasperation, she yelled at me, "Song Yunnan, I'm not joking with you. Tell me, Xiaoting is fine, she's okay, right? You've hidden her, haven't you?" I asked her, thoroughly confused. "Why are you so nervous and agitated now? A daughter's life is less important than a cat's kittens. How can you expect to have even a shred of motherly love for her?" Meeting Gu Jiai's stunned expression, I scoffed and said quietly, "That's really too bad. If you had come back in time, maybe our daughter could have been saved. But now, you won't even have time to mourn her." 007 heard my words, Gu Jia took a long time to react. As a medical expert, the first thing she did was open the examination reports I had sent her. Those examination reports that she thought I had forged, she was finally able to look at them. Finally, she clicked on the voice messages I sent her that night and her daughter's death report. In an instant, her face became extremely ugly. Seeing the situation, Su Yichen pulled her forward. Jia, it's already come to this, you. The next moment, Gu Jia shook him off fiercely, leaving even Su Yichen himself stunned. She seemed eager to verify something, driving towards the hospital. And I, with a face full of disdain, turned to Su Yichen and said quietly, I'm sorry, mister. Su, you went to all the trouble of scheming to watch a good show, but you ended up being left here. Gu Jia probably won't be back for a while, so you'll have to take a taxi home yourself. Su Yichen's face was full of resentment, and he sneered. You think Jia cares about you? It's actually the child. After all, even a vicious tiger doesn't eat its own cubs. Any woman would have some feelings for her own child. If Xiaoting had survived, maybe she could have competed with me, but what a pity. I couldn't endure it any longer and punched Su Yichen in the face. Xiaoting's death was my bottom line, the untouchable red line in my heart. Before going home, my brother accompanied me to see the child. We placed flowers in front of the child's grave, but he received a call from Gu Yinshan. Weren't you going to get a divorce? Come over now. I have a schedule to catch later. You only have 15 minutes. All the way until they received their divorce certificate, Gu Yunsan didn't even look at Shen Yan. Afraid of being recognized, she kept her mask and oversized sunglasses on. As soon as she stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, she jumped into her nanny van. Shen Yan stood on the roadside, staring blankly at her departing figure. I walked over and patted him on the shoulder. It's okay, it will pass. Shen Yan looked at me and smiled in relief, saying, Yes, it will pass. Look how destined we are. When we were brothers, we said we didn't ask to be born on the same year, same month, and same day, but we asked to die on the same year, same month, and same day. Now, we haven't achieved dying on the same day, but we did get married and divorced on the same day. Truly good brothers. After all, it was an arranged marriage, and we divorced without informing our families. They were furious. We were too lazy to listen to our parents and elders nagging, so we simply stayed out and didn't go home. Shen Yan and I had already found a place, a rented villa in the suburbs, to stay temporarily and consider our next plans. That night, the two of us ate and drank, sang songs, and watched movies in the villa. Shen Yan received a long text message from Gu Yunsan. I hope you can adjust your mindset as soon as possible. This is just a little spat. Seeing this, Shen Yan and I were alike. Shen Yan directly replied with a curse. Are you out of your mind? We're divorced, and you call this a little spat? Gu Yunsan replied disdainfully. How many times have you done this? Did you think I believe it? The reason I agreed to the divorce was to let you calm down and reflect on your behavior, and to be more considerate of me and my career in the future. I've already told your parents that we are only temporarily divorced, and we are currently in a period of adjusting to each other. When you've thought it through, we can go and get remarried. Gu Yinshan felt certain she had Shen Yan wrapped around her finger. After all, she was a top celebrity, the object of countless young men's affections wherever she went. When the Shen and Gu families arranged their marriage, she always felt superior, as if Shen Yan had hit the jackpot. And Shen Yan? At first, he was indeed dazzled by his top star wife, believing he'd been incredibly lucky, a gift from the heavens, which is why he willingly became a live-in son-in-law. But gradually, in a mutual torment with Gu Yinshan, his love had long since dissipated. He didn't offer Gu Yinshan a single word of explanation, but directly blocked her contact information. This action undoubtedly challenged Gu Yinshan's authority and charm, instantly infuriating the top celebrity. Not even a few minutes after Shen Yan blocked Gu Yinshan, she received a call from Gu Yinshan's agent. Mr. Shen, did you say something to our little princess again? She's throwing a tantrum right now. I'm not saying anything, mister. Shen, but Miss truly likes you. But you know how our industry is. She's protecting you by not publicly revealing your identity. You need to understand her. The same sweet talk had been fed to Shen Yan for 3 years. Even a fool would have developed immunity. Shen Yan scoffed and retorted. And going in and out of hotels with other male celebrities, creating dating rumors, that's also to protect me? The agent was left speechless. Shen Yan continued. You tell her, this time I'm serious about the divorce, it's not some childish game. She doesn't need to contact me about anything anymore. After all, I'm not interested in whether my ex-wife is alive or dead. He hung up immediately and blocked all of Gu Yinshan's staff. That day, the top celebrity Miss Gu updated her social media account. And it was just 2 simple words, hee. The accompanying picture was of her and Shen Yan's wedding rings, taken during a trip to the beach. This cryptic post instantly sparked speculation from the media and countless fans. Is our sister getting married? Whose wedding ring is in the picture? Shut up. How could our sister possibly get married? This clearly looks like an artistic photo shoot by our sister. Only Shen Yan and I could see her intention. She was waiting for Shen Yan to regret it and come crawling back to beg for reconciliation. Unfortunately, this time, no one was going to indulge her bad habits. When I went to the hospital for a checkup, I ran into Gu Jia. Her complexion looked quite haggard. She, who had always been bright and well-dressed, hadn't even styled her hair. Probably because she hadn't been sleeping well since the divorce. She also had dark circles under her eyes. Seeing me, she froze for a moment, as if she saw joy and hope. She rushed up and grabbed my wrist. Yunan, did you see all the messages I sent you? These days, Gu Jia had indeed sent me many messages, but I hadn't listened to or read any of them. I couldn't even be bothered to open them. Just like her previous disdain for me. Now I couldn't be bothered to deal with her anymore. I asked her coldly, "Is there something you need?" Gu Jia's attitude was quite humble, and she said in a low voice, I really didn't know that shouting was my own flesh and blood. How could I not love her? A few days ago, she was still lying beside me, calling me mommy. I really feel terrible. I'm sorry to her, and I'm sorry to you. She then grabbed my fingers and said humbly, Yunan, I know you're also very sad. It's all my fault. I apologize to you. I hope I can have a chance to make amends. Please forgive me, okay? We're still young. Someday, we can have another child. I immediately sneered and shook off her hand, retorting, Dr. Gu, what do you mean by this? Have another child, so she can suffer again? Besides, we're divorced. It's not appropriate to talk about having children, right? Who wants to have children with you? Gu Jia raised her face, her eyes revealing a look of pain, and then she compromised. Okay, let's not talk about this now. My colleagues told me that when shouting was wheeled out, you were so anxious that you vomited blood. I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup. She reached out, wanting to take the examination materials in my hand, but I avoided her in time. I said coldly, No need. I've made an appointment with the attending physician. It's not appropriate for you to overstep your authority and treat patients, is it? Not far away, Sui-Chin walked out of the ward, covering his head and rubbing his face into a ball. Jai, my head suddenly hurts so much. Come and take a look at me, okay? Sui-Chin is just like that. Whenever I have a chance to spend time with Gu Jia, he always pops up with a lot of things. When I was hospitalized with appendicitis, Gu Jia had just come to see me in the ward when he immediately had a hypoglycemia attack and fainted. He pitifully called Gu Jia, asking her to take care of him. While I was in agony in the hospital, he was happily showing off on his social media about Gu Jia cooking for him. When I was traveling abroad and was kidnapped, Gu Jia was about to negotiate with the kidnappers when he immediately found a small note posted on the door. He insisted that someone with bad intentions was targeting him, and he felt safe only when Gu Jia was called over to guard him. While I was tortured by the kidnappers to the brink of death, he leaned into Gu Jia's arms and sweetly posted intimate photos of the two of them embracing. In the past, I would be sad and upset in the face of his provocations and showing off. Now, I just treat it as gossip and find it quite interesting and lively. I raise my eyebrows at Gu Jia. He's calling you, go take care of him. He's a delicate little white flower who can't withstand any wind or rain. I was about to shake her off and turn to find the attending doctor, but Gu Jia grabbed me from behind. She said softly, When will you be out? I'll wait for you downstairs. I have something to tell you. After seeing the doctor, I left the hospital, but Gu Jia blocked me in the underground parking lot. She told me affectionately that she did marry me because she liked me. She had indeed planned to get back together with Sui-Chin before, because Sui-Chin's family background was not good, and he was also a weak and frail person. In her heart, he was a little white flower that needed protection. It seemed that bringing him home and taking care of him was the greatest love for him. But after meeting me, she suddenly realized that pity and love are not the same thing at all. Because she felt sorry for Sui Chin, she couldn't face me and could only double her kindness to that man to make up for the guilt in her heart. I immediately raised my eyebrows and asked, "What do you want me to say when you tell me this? Wife, you love me so much. You suppress your feelings for me for the sake of another man. You've had a hard time?" Then I sneered at her and declared, "The car hit the tree. You know to turn. The child died. You know to feed. Who are you putting on this affectionate act for now? What were you doing earlier? What lies between her and me is our daughter's life." When I rushed back home, I found that Shen Yan and Gu Yinshan were trending together on the hot search. The reason was that on the day of their divorce, someone at the Civil Affairs Bureau recognized them. Consequently, platforms like Xiaohongshu and Douban were flooded with posts. "Oh my God! The top celebrity Miss Gu was actually married all along." At first, I thought they were getting their marriage certificate, but it turned out they were getting divorced. The man seems to be the rich second-generation heir she had a scandal with before. Shen Yan did indeed have a scandal with Gu Yinshan before. After all, they were a real couple, and no matter how careful they were, the media would always capture some clues. But Gu Yinshan always refused to admit publicly that she was married, and even said that Shen Yan was just a fan of hers. Of course, fans from all walks of life didn't buy this gossip, and Nathan Fun refuted the rumors and whitewashed them. How is that possible? Our sister has always been single. Those who spread rumors randomly should wait to be sued. My sister has been single for over 20 years. Are you taking out a loan to find her a husband? And directly dreaming that she is divorced, right? Some fans recognized Shen Yan's identity and even went to Shen Yan's account to make trouble. I said, "Big brother, are you annoying? As a fan, can't you avoid attracting hate for your idol? You are obsessed with our sister. Creating multiple chance encounters for attention is not enough. This time you directly hired someone similar to act, dreaming of marrying my sister? Disgusting, delusional stalker fan. My sister is really unlucky to have a man like you liking her." This wasn't the first time fans had attacked Shen Yan. Previously, for the sake of Gu Yinshan's reputation and not wanting to affect her career, Shen Yan never fought back when he was scolded. And what about Gu Yinshan? She always watched coldly and let the public opinion run wild. But this time, it was completely different. Gu Yinshan directly announced that she had been married for a long time and admitted Shen Yan's identity. "Thank you very much for your attention. Now I want to tell everyone that I was indeed married. My husband is this Mr. Shen. He is just an ordinary person, and I hope everyone will not disturb him too much." Ever since the divorce, Gu Yinshan had been waiting for Shen Yan to regret it and come back to apologize. But she soon discovered that she had been blocked by Shen Yan, and after waiting for a long time, she was still not added back. Now, Gu Yinshan panicked a little. She actually started to publicly announce Shen Yan's identity to the public and her fans. Unfortunately, what's that saying? Belated affection is cheaper than a dog. Now, Shen Yan no longer needed the identity of the Gu family's live-in son-in-law. Shen Yan also responded online. "Thank you very much for your concern. I did indeed marry Miss Gu, but we are currently divorced. I am just an ordinary person and do not wish to be exposed to the public. Please allow us to part amicably." Seeing the phrase "part amicably," Gu Yinshan broke down instantly. That night, holding a bouquet of roses and dressed like a flamboyant peacock, she appeared at the door of our house. Many paparazzi who were following her even started live broadcasts. Oh my God! When has Miss Gu ever chased after a man so desperately? It seems that this Mr. Shen is not simple. Gu Yinshan's company team spread a brainwashing package to the public, trying to make everyone think that Gu Yinshan and Shen Yan were just a young couple having a temporary quarrel and did not sincerely want to get a divorce. Moreover, Miss Gu was currently in the state of coaxing her angry husband. Therefore, the media speculated whether Shen Yan would forgive Gu Yinshan. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Shen Yan directly poured a basin of water over Gu Yinshan from head to toe. Even this didn't make Gu Yinshan angry. She stood at the door and shouted to Shen Yan, "Shen Yan, I know I was wrong. I didn't consider your feelings and didn't give you enough security. Now I have publicly acknowledged your identity. I've let everyone know that you are my husband, Gu Yinshan. I will love and cherish you in the future. and I will not make you angry or worry anymore. I know you were just sulking. Forgive me, okay?" At this time, Shen Yan, unable to bear it any longer, rushed out and sneered at Gu Yunshan. "Gu Yunshan, do you think that as long as you say I'm sorry, you can always get my it's okay?" Facing Gu Yunshan's stunned expression, Shen Yan directly laid it all out. "A woman who loves me enough will be proud of my existence and give me enough security. She won't think of my existence as a burden, nor will she think of my jealousy and sadness as unreasonable. Gu Yunshan, maybe you have repented, but—" He paused and said, "I've had enough of living with you, and I've decided to move forward alone." The paparazzi uploaded the scene of the two at the door directly to the internet, instantly causing a public uproar. Gu Yunshan, a top celebrity, also suffered a lot of attacks and judgment. Yeah, she's already married. Why isn't she keeping her distance from male actors? What's the deal with deliberately creating CP hype? You give candy to everyone, but you have a legitimate husband at home. Have you ever thought about your husband's situation and feelings? I used to think that Mr. Shen was a drama queen who directed and acted all by himself. Now it seems that he is the real victim. I hope the rich guy will open his eyes, truly see this dog woman, and from now on be single and independent, and stop wronging himself for a scumbag woman." The Gu family spent a lot of effort to quell the scandalous public opinion. The Gu family contacted us and privately promised many generous conditions, hoping to part ways amicably. Shen Yan and I agreed, but Gu Jiayi and Gu Yunshan couldn't get over it. Gu Yunshan came to see Shen Yan every few days, holding roses and begging for forgiveness. Gu Jiayi sent me countless text messages and wrote countless essays. She, who used to only condescendingly and coldly remind me to be rational, was now losing her rationality. I rarely replied to the things she sent. I occasionally took a look and felt a headache from the dense text. I had to remind her, "Dr. Gu, since the divorce is finalized, accept the reality as soon as possible. Don't write these kinds of essays anymore. I won't read them anyway. It will only waste your time." The next time I saw Gu Yunshan, it was unexpectedly at the police station. The reason was that Shen Yan had recently started dating a college student and was enjoying being sweetly called brother. But his lingering ex-wife, a top celebrity, had a meltdown. She directly confronted Shen Yan and his current girlfriend, demanding an explanation, and a conflict broke out between them. When I arrived at the police station, Gu Yunshan was still furiously grabbing Shen Yan's arm. "I don't believe you've forgotten me and found someone new. Isn't it just to provoke me, to try to get back together?" Gu Jiayi also rushed over upon hearing the news and pulled her troublemaking sister away. Seeing this, I stepped forward and said calmly, "Miss Gu, do you think you're irresistible and that Shen Yan must be in love with you? It was your repeated failure to cherish him that drove Shen Yan away. You should spend more time reflecting on yourself. Now Shen Yan is happy and living well after the divorce. Please stop disturbing his life." Gu Yunshan had been drinking, and her face was flushed. I wasn't sure if she could even understand what I was saying, so I turned to Gu Jiayi and started my speech. Some women are ridiculously confident. They think that even if they have affairs outside, all they have to do is beckon, and the prodigal son will return, unchanged. Does she even think Shen Yan got a new girlfriend just to provoke her into getting back together? Please take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Even if you knelt down and begged Shen Yan to come back, would you be worthy? Gu Jiaoyi's body trembled as if she herself had been slapped. She lowered her head, supporting her sister with one hand, and said dejectedly, "I'm sorry." The ridiculous thing was, as Gu Yunshan was being taken away, she was still shouting my brother's name in a breakdown. After the divorce, Shen Yan and I teamed up to open a boxing gym. This was an idea we had discussed before we got married, and it was one of our shared interests and dreams. Unfortunately, after we got married, the Gu family didn't approve of us being in the public eye and insisted that we be good housewives. Now that we're divorced, we're free, and who can control us? I suddenly realize now that we shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. We could have lived happily and freely as single men. Why do we have to make things difficult for ourselves? You see, if we hadn't gotten married, we would have been living this carefree life long ago. I completely agreed. Over the years, for Gu Jiayi's sake, I had become someone I didn't even recognize. If I hadn't met her, hadn't married her, and had started a business with my brother early on, I don't know how carefree and happy I would have been. But it's not too late to wake up now. Let the past, those unbearable days, be in the past. The end.